Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
If you would like to take seats, you can sit or stand, whatever is easiest or whatever you're most comfortable with to the candidates. You can sit.
Yeah, I think we'd like to stand just so everybody can
That's
see
fine.
it.
Okay, so the purpose of this evening is to understand the candidate's fundamental or principled thinking and attitude to be able to extrapolate or anticipate the office holder's future actions. I explained to you the timing. There's going to be no closing remarks, no cross-examination, same questions. We're just going to go back and forth. We'll start ladies first.
Okay.
And question number 1. Why are you seeking to be elected AZ? Oh, sorry, this is county. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. We're not interested. Okay. Why are you seeking to be elected the Maricopa County? Oh my gosh.
MCRC.
Okay. Maricopa County Chair, prioritize the top issues you want to change and tell us how you will impact those resolutions.
My name is Jan Dubauskas. I'm running for chairman of Maricopa County Republican Committee. Thank you for having us here tonight. I appreciate you putting this event together. It's come very clear to all of us that Maricopa County is a disaster. Unfortunately, it's a national laughingstock and a disaster.
Yes.
Friends, we are losing.
Yes.
We cannot continue doing what we're doing, or we're going to continue losing, and we're going to lose the most wonderful state in the country. So we have to have significant change, and there's several reasons that we'll get into in a moment, but I want to talk about my priorities. Number 1, election integrity. We have to fix our elections, and we have to use our voice and stand tall and stand together to fix them. So what is it that we can do? Number 1, we're going to create a robust election integrity committee, and that means we're going to get all of the smart people who are passionate about election integrity together in a group, in a room on a regular basis, and work on what are all of the things that we can do together to fix election integrity. Some quick ideas. We're going to work with the legislature. Our campaign is endorsed by Jacqueline Parker, who's chair of the House Elections Committee, and Alex Collidan, who's vice chair. We're endorsed by Senator Warren Peterson. We are work closely with the legislature. That's an important component. But you know what? That's not the only component, because unfortunately we may have a Democrat governor who won't sign any of their legislation, so we're going to work with them to refer it to the ballot. Number 2, we cannot continue with the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. We are going to recall the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. I'm going to be quick. We are going to empower our precinct committeemen. We're going to improve our technology, and we're going to make it so that you can actually go out there and door knock and not stand at the end of the driveway. I'm doing this because I'm a mom and I love our state. My husband and I have a blended family of 5 children. We cannot continue this way anymore. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Berland, and I'm running for chair at MCRC. It's easy to decide what our main priority is. Let me say it this way. Just forgetting about election integrity just because the election is over is like forgetting about murder because the victim is dead. What are we going to do that? Number 1, I think we need to raise funds.
Yes.
We need millions of dollars, not thousands of dollars.
That's right.
Who's involved on our slate? You know, each of us have been involved dramatically in many ways for years. Shelby Bush, I'm sure you know, with their signature verification program and other things. People have asked me, well, what have you done? I said, well, one of the things I've done is I put $100,000 up to do artificial intelligence on the signature verification for the state. That kind of brings me to the next point is Terry Lake has endorsed our campaign, along with Mark Fincham and Jim O'Connor, Liz Harris. To follow up on that, what needs to be done, again, is we need to raise millions of dollars, not thousands. Right now, we're dependent so much on the AC GOP and the national GOP. A lot of people have complained to me about campaign sidekick. We need to have our own software. To do all these things, we need funds. We need to start communicating well with the AC, GOP, and our candidates. I already have a relationship with a lot of our candidates, and I assure you that will happen. Thank you.
Okay, can I just ask one small favor? We're gonna hold all the applause till the end so we can keep this running smoothly because time is of the essence. Question number 2, and we'll start this one with Jeff. In your own words, please summarize the 2022 election cycle and results. If you had been shared at that time, what would you have done differently?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was yeah. Okay. How do I summarize it? I think my first statement. We can't ignore election fraud just because the election's over. I personally have worked with Shelby on signature verification. I've personally done over 1,000 reviews of signature verification on my own. And I can tell you after about 100, it makes you sick. The bottom line is that for the 2020 election, there was at least 12% of the signatures were fraudulent, at least. And that is like, I guarantee you they're fraudulent. There's another 18% that are likely fraudulent. Now put that on 1.9 million, and you have 200,000 minimum mail-in ballots that were fraudulent. That's how I characterize the last election. I think 2020 is so much like 2022 that you don't have to go any further.
Thank you for the question. I was in the RNC war room as one of the 30 lawyers that they had advertised were going to be responding and taking the questions. It was absolute sabotage. There is no doubt about that we experienced sabotage on election day. If I was chairman for this election cycle, there's a couple of things I would have done differently. One is our chairman was very focused on getting observers and workers in NECTEC and working at the polls, which was wonderful. She was right to make sure that we were equal with the Democrats. The problem was that she was focused on it and doing the work and not delegating that to someone else so that she could be managing this entire process, making sure all the doors were getting knocked, all of the golden tickets were available, making sure that we have people standing outside Runback as much as possible. There's a lot of activities that need to go along with that, and our chairman cannot be bogged down in the details. Our chairman must be managing the process and having an eye on all election fraud, not just that specific component of it.
Question number 3. How will you represent the grassroots people of Maricopa County rather than representing the ruling class? I guess I want to ask you, how relevant are you? What is your most recent grassroots activity?
I'll take that. Is that a minute or 2?
Yeah, everything's going to be a minute from here, and you're just going to take turns going first.
Okay, great. Yep, absolutely. So I'm a precinct committeeman. I'm captain of 2 precincts. I'm a state committeeman. I don't know anything other than grassroots. I'm a grassroots candidate. In my home, I had 4,000 postcards for Karen Warner and Amy Carney, who were school board candidates. We were the only school board that got those 2 candidates within our district because we hand wrote 4,000 postcards for those women, and they won by 400 votes. So we had an impact on the school board races here in November. The grassroots, we have to create a grassroots coalition. Right now we have all kinds of different grassroots groups. We have precinct committeemen, we have Republican clubs, we have America PAC, we have EZAZ, we have all these different groups. We have the Hispanics, we have the Jews, we have all these different people. They are not coming together and working together. We're gonna create a grassroots coalition. We're gonna meet quarterly, we're gonna sit around the table, figure out what everyone is best at, and we're gonna harness that energy, and and we're gonna work together so we can maximize our effort for the county.
I've been precinct committeeman for a short period of time. As I said, I was a retired businessman and I was working 14 hours a day. But I woke up in 2020 and realized that this is bullshit. And everybody does things a little bit differently. To give you an example, my wife and I have had 3 meet and greets at our home with about this many people at each one. We had a fundraiser there. We had a large fundraiser for our vendor. It was a $250 plate. I've flown Mark to Florida for an event. I was flying Blake Masters to the western part of the state for a campaign event. And I'd worked with Greg Dutton, passing out, how many, Greg? Couple thousand golden tickets. So I'm involved, I guarantee you.
Thank you. Question number 4. What type of committees and organizational structure are you planning to put in place? Please give some examples and state the purpose they will serve in order of priority, as well as even possibly physical location.
Committees, my way of managing is to bring a staff together and ask what we should do and how we should do it and who should do it. But I do have some priorities that I'm going to bring to the table. Number 1, election integrity. Number 2, fundraising. Number 3, getting out and meeting our elected officials. And number 4, let me put it this way, we have 41 precincts in Maricopa County. They have 10 or more PCs allotted to them, and we have 0 people, none, in those precincts. So we need a committee that says, okay, look, we're gonna help people go out and find the first 2, and then let them build on that and fill those ranks, and then give the PCs the tools that they need to do the work.
So the first committee that we'll create is the Election Integrity Committee. We've already talked about that a little bit. We'll create a grassroots coalition, and we'll bring all the grassroots teams together. We'll work on that quarterly. We're going to create a technology council. Our technology sucks. It's terrible. We don't have a dashboard to keep up with our statistics. We don't have a voter contact database that works for everyone. We don't have the things that we need. So we're going to create a technology council. So what we can do with that is then improve our get out the vote. We should be sending texts. We should be calling people who haven't turned in their ballots yet. That's what the Democrats do. We're going to have to work with their system unless we can fix it, so we got to work with it better. We can do that if we have better technology. Today, our technology is 3 days late. We're sending texts to people who've already voted. It's a waste of time. Number 4, we're going to create a leadership institute where we can empower PCs. We're going to train our leaders. We're going to train our captains. We're going to train our PCs so that they are empowered to go out and influence our community. Thank you.
Question number 5. How will you select the members and leaders of those committees, and what will the criteria be in order to be appointed?
This is all about who's passionate about these subjects. I've been chief operations officer for a health insurance company that operates in all 50 states. And what I have found is that people who are passionate about a subject are good at it, they work on it. When you appoint someone to a topic, to a committee that they don't want to work on, guess what? They're not going to get the work done, and that is not something we can do. We have to walk and chew gum at the same time here. So on these committees, they will be folks who are in the EGC, so LD chairs, folks who are currently on the executive board, but citizens are welcome on these communities. PCs are welcome on these communities, I should say. So we are going to invite PCs in. We're going to invite PCs to be part of this process. They must be, because we can't have all of the knowledge. We can't do all of the work, and we don't want to. So we're going to ask people to come and show their passion and what they're interested in, and they'll be welcome. That's it.
I go back to my business experience, and the bottom line is that as a manager of hundreds of employees, I never viewed it as a dictatorship. And therefore, we will not be dictating who's chair. The chair will not be dictating. I think the chair has way too much power in our bylaws, something that needs to be changed. But the bottom line is who's gonna be on, what I wanna tell all of you LD chairs, come prepared for the first meeting. Because we're gonna start business on day one, and we're gonna start assigning chairs out of those, committee chairs, out of those LD chairs and the ex-con. Who fills them? I think a great idea is to invigorate the young college students and that kind of, those people, and bring those in and give them meaningful opportunities. And that's how I see it getting filled. But the bottom line is the chairman will be picked from the LD chairs that are in the crowd at the MCRC.
Question number 6, how and where do you think the money that is raised should be spent?
The money, repeat the question, where the money should be spent?
How and where do you think the money that is raised should be spent?
Well, again, I always refer back to my business experience, and I found out that once you create a budget, you never know where you're gonna spend the money until you actually get into the war. But the two things that I know that are gonna happen is election integrity, finding people to run like Steve Robinson and LD 22 in a primary Democratic deal. We need to help people get on the ticket and then help fund them once they've committed to running. And we really need to develop, I think Jan alluded to it, we need to give the PCs better tools. Campaign sidekick is okay, but we lose all the data once we put it in. So we've got to get control of that, and I know that's going to cost some money.
Maricopa County Democrat Party has an office. They have paid staff. So if they have a precinct committeeman come in, they already have a PowerPoint presentation and a whole packet of things. We don't have those. We don't have the basic, fundamental infrastructure to get PCs up and trained. We don't have a training for captains. We don't have a complete manual of training for LD chairs, first vice chairs. In Maricopa County, we have 20 legislative districts. We have 12 brand new chairs. These people have never been chairs. That translates down to the entire board. We have 6 others who've been chair for 6 years or less, 2 years or less. So out of 20 LD chairs, 18 have no experience. We have to get these people trained. We need an office where we can invite people to come so that they can get all kinds of opportunities. We're gonna spend money on that. We're gonna spend money on our campaigns. We're gonna support candidates, we're gonna recruit them, and we're going to mentor them, and that's going to cost money. But you know what? That investment is going to be worth it because it's gonna help us save Arizona.
Question number 7, speaking of money and how we're going to spend it, do you have fundraising plans that are broader than the Lincoln Day luncheon? Could you give some examples if we do?
So in the state of Arizona, we have 11 billionaires. We have people who have lots of money and we have not asked them for it. Isn't that crazy? Maricopa County Republican Committee, we're not bound by the same rules that candidates are, a maximum of $5,300 contributions. We can go to those big donors and say, I need $100,000 to open an office. I need $100,000 for data. I need $100,000 to support these different candidates. I need $500,000 to save LD2 and LD4 because that's where they're coming after next. We can go to those big donors and ask for those things, and we're going to do that. That's going to be my job. I don't want to nickel and dime our PCs. I don't want to nickel and dime our state committeemen. What I want to do is I want us to have some events like the Lincoln Day Luncheon, but not ask people to pay $150 to get an award for being a PC. I want them to come. Maybe it's $20 for a hamburger, but let's have fun. Let's get together on 4th of July. We should be celebrating the most patriotic day, the most Republican day. We should be doing those things together. Thank you.
I'll repeat. The PCs have already given their time freely, and placing fundraising on their backs is ridiculous. As far as where we're going to raise the funds, I can tell you that we already have a list of donors that we believe are viable if we're elected as a slate. I can also tell you that as a businessman in Maricopa County for the last 35 years, I have a lot of relationships in small business. And whether you don't need to be a billionaire to give a few $1,000s. I think I just told you I gave $100,000 through signature verification. But the bottom line is it's not on the backs of the PCs. Lincoln Day lunch is not the place to be a fundraiser. We need to get it back to honoring the PCs.
Question number 8. How will the Republican Party exactly, and you touched on this, support those candidates? Even if it's beyond financial stuff. We need to come behind our candidates, right? How will we do that?
Again, I've touched on that, and the bottom line is it's part of the fundraising in the campaign. And I sat down with one of our legislative congressmen that was a candidate. And I said, hey, tell me, what has the county or the state done for you to help you get organized? And the answer was nothing. Well, that's ridiculous. We need to build a database. We need to have things like contacts and way to organize and way to plan. And then once they've committed to running, then we need to fund them. When we decided to fund the Maricopa County MCRC, as I was part of the board, we decided to fund our state level people with $5,000. Well, I'm sorry. That's not funding the state level. That may be more than what a school board needs, but that's not funding the state level candidate. So it all gets tied into a loop.
So I ran for Steve Senate in Legislative District 3 after being a precinct committeeman, and the first thing a Gen X person does is they Google how to run for office, and nothing comes up. Absolutely nothing comes up. I had to make it up all on my own by reaching out to my network and talking to various people. We need to have a manual. There are different groups like the, I'm losing the names, but there are different groups that do candidate training. We need to bring all of that information in together so that when a candidate is running, they can have an idea of, well, how much do I need for a budget? How many people do I need to contact to win? How many votes do I need to win? We need to bring those fundamentals to the candidates, and that's actually going to help vet candidates as well, so that when we put our money behind them, we're putting money behind people who can win. We have a lot that we can give to these candidates. It's not hard, we just need to do it.
Question number 9. Who did you support for governor in the 2022 election and why?
I supported Carrie Lake for governor. In May of 2022, my little girls were in the aftercare program, and a non-binary teacher said to them, "Did you know you could choose your gender?" My little girl came home telling me Mia is not a boy or a girl. And I'm not supposed to say Mr. Mia or Miss Mia, I'm just supposed to say Mia. You can imagine my outrage. We took it to Scottsdale Unified. It became national news. They refused to back down. We got rid of the bitch in the old-fashioned way. We looked up her social media. I told this story to Karen Taylor Robeson at the Lincoln Day Luncheon. She said, "That's terrible. You should move your kids to a micro school. Take care of yourself." I told the same story to Carrie Lake at the Lincoln Day Luncheon. She said, "My God, I'm a mama bear just like you. We have to fix Arizona." That day, she earned my vote because it touched me and my children personally.
That's an easy one, Carrie Lake. Somebody asked me, says, well, how many votes do you think Carrie's going to win by? And I said, over 100,000. That was an easy one. I'll tell you a little story because a lot of times we get way too in the weeds. So I got a call from Carrie Lake's campaign before the election. It says, hey, we got a VIP in Florida that we need to bring to LA for an event. Would you be willing to fly over there in your plane and pick them up? I said, sure, what's up? And they said, well, we can't really tell you, blah, 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 blah. And so it went on, and then that was when the big hurricane was coming through. Well, I'll shorten the story and tell you that the VIP was Melania Trump. Unfortunately, I never got to make the trip because of the hurricane. Very late.
Question number 10. Are you finished? Question number 10. I don't know if you'll have anything to add to this. I'm going to read it to you anyway because we've touched a lot on this. Given the recent election debacle of 2022, as well as 2020, because no, we're not forgetting 2020, please explain in detail what your stance is on election integrity and what remedies, if any, do you believe need to be instituted. Now, I know you've both said some things. If there's anything else you want to add, you can take a minute to do that. Otherwise, otherwise we can move on.
Forgetting about election integrity just because the election is over is like forgetting about murder just because the patient is dead. I know it's a repeat. That's a point. You know, we've already covered all of this and in great detail. It's obviously something that I'm passionate about, and I'll just leave it at that.
So I'll expand a little bit on the election integrity committee and what I would like them to do, but also I'm going to ask them to come up with the best ideas because they're going to be our best minds within our county. We're going to work on legislation with our legislators. We're going to do what we can, and if we can't get something passed, signed by Katie House, we're going to do what we can to get it referred to the ballot. We're going to recall the Board of Supervisors and find candidates because that's important, because that will set us up for success in 24. If we wait to replace them in 24, we'll have the same Board of Supervisors. So that's important that we execute that recall. We do it very, very well. We're going to work on the curing the ballot period. That was something that we did very well this year. We cannot lose that intellectual integrity, and that's something that Abe and I have spoken about as recently as Tuesday. He thinks that overall may end up saving his campaign as the curing process. So we have to work through those provisional ballots. We have to make sure that every legal vote is counted, and we can do that together.
If I may add just a quick comment on that question, something I forgot. The bottom line is, yes, as Shelby says, Monday, one vote, no machines.
No mail-in ballots. Sorry.
The bottom line is we have not forgotten about 2022 election. It is still a viable thing that we're working every day. There is still a lawsuit in place. There's multiple lawsuits. I talked with Mark Pincham about creating a 501c3 this morning. There's a lot of things going on that some things I can talk about, some of the things I can't, but there's a lot that's still going on relative to the 2022 election.
Question number 11, what are your thoughts about the old guard Republican Party? How far are you willing to go against the grain in order to uphold the oath you will swear?
I'm with Andy Biggs.
Nice.
Yes.
I don't think that's popular, and I don't know why, because we've all been standing here saying we cannot continue doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
And yet, when Andy says it, everybody says it's a national embarrassment. It is not. This is a conversation that we are having within our republic, and it needs to happen. And if we're not going to get the attention behind closed doors, we're going to take it outside those doors. We're going to do what we need to do to save our republic. I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody. I would like to see our party united. We are 35% of the electorate. We cannot say we're the majority. The independents, they're 35% too. We believe they lean right, but you know what, in the primary, only 39% of them turned in their Republican ballot. We did something that turned them off. So we have to work together, but I'm not going to sacrifice our values. I've been very clear on that, and I will stand firm.
We need to have a unifying language that we speak. Do you believe in the Constitution and how it affects our republic? If you do, then welcome to the team. I also believe that let's say there's a focus in this direction by everybody in this room, but there's some that are wandering off to the left and the right. I think once you show them a winning program, a lot of those people that are wandering off to the left or right will get in line and follow us to victory. So to push them out is not the correct plan. If there's somebody that's a plant and is causing nothing but chaos, then that's a different situation. But unity must be part of the program.
Question number 13, do you believe Ducey was a good governor? Why or why not?
Do I think we have a new governor? Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Again, as a businessman, there were 7 of us that used to meet downtown once a month and sit around and drink wine and discuss politics. And Ducey became a part of that group for a while. And then once he started running for governor, he fell out and I didn't see him again. And then in that environment, I thought he was a good man. But I tell you that so many of his policies and some of the bills that he vetoed, I cannot stand behind.
In May of 2020, I had the opportunity to go down into the governor's office and meet with the senior staff, and I was appalled at how scared they were. They were beaten down by the press and the Democrats, and they folded. They did. The people that we looked up to, the people that we relied on to hold the line, were scared. And they didn't stand up for us. And moving forward, they really didn't stand up for us the way that we expected them to, did we? No. We didn't get CRT passed. We didn't get a lot of things passed. We didn't get election integrity passed. Where was our governor down there beating on those legislators, making it happen? Where was our governor beating on Karen Fann, saying, reveal to us who it is that won't support 2289? He wasn't there for us. He brought us a lot of business. That's his experience, and I applaud him for that. We need the business. As far as our culture, he has destroyed it, and it's up to us to recreate it.
Where was our governor supporting support for Gary Lake?
Amen to that. Question number 16, you have just a few more left. What do you see as the cause for why the Republican Party is divided? And just kind of touch on how you think you might be able to unify. I want to know what you think the cause is of the divide, and then how do you think you can bring us together?
I think there are people who are comfortable in their lives, and they don't want to become uncomfortable. There's a group of people who are wealthy, they're comfortable, life has gone well for them, and they don't want to believe that we live in a country where people were cheap. They believe in the American dream so much they've forgotten to open their eyes and wake up to what's really going on. There's a group of people who is so scared and so angry about what's happening, and they're trying to shake everyone awake. So we've got diametrically opposed people who share very similar values, but their methods are just not the same, and their awareness is just not the same. So what we need to do is we need to work on our common language and our common policies. We're going to have a class on what is the Republican platform, so we can come together. What are our common values? Because that is what binds us in our love of God.
You all probably heard of the World Economic Forum. By 2030, you will own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, we had a guy that came along called Donald Trump, and he said, oh, no, that's not going to work. And it created a huge divide. And it created the difference between what we used to have in the way of the Democratic Party and the Republican, and we used to wonder, okay, there's a slightly different approach from the Democrats than there was from the Republicans, you had to decide. Now we have a uniparty against what I believe in, and that is our Constitution and our freedoms. That is what caused the divide. How we solve that is a difficult question. I become really concerned, but I woke up in the middle of the night and God was telling me, he says, don't quit. I encourage you all not to quit.
Question number 20. What role does the MCRC play in politics at the AZ Capitol?
This is a huge argument. Right now, it's nothing. If I'm elected, it's going to be very significant. We're the second largest voting county in the United States. If that doesn't give us a platform to discuss policy, then what does? And if somebody comes in, I'll listen to them and say, Craig, you're wrong. There's no place for policy at the MCRC. But I'll guarantee you that right now my position is that it should be a loud and regular voice.
Our campaign is endorsed by 7 different legislators, and what we've talked to them all about is we need to sit down with you on a regular basis and work through what are our priorities. You are representing Maricopa County. You need to know what our priorities are, and you need to work on them with us. We're going to have polite conversations when you go when you do what we ask you to do. We're gonna have impolite conversations, and then we're gonna move to social media and ask our activists to really have impolite conversations. We're gonna actually sit down with our legislators and plan on our future with them, and then we're going to hold them accountable through regular meetings. We've already gotten commitments from 7 different legislators, including the president of our Senate.
Only 2 questions left. What are your thoughts on exactly what's going on in DC right now? And do you support Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House, or not?
We gotta drain the swamp. My God, that man has voted with the Democrats 47% of the time.
Yes.
Andy Biggs is right to stand up. Matt Gaetz is right to stand up. Why Jim Jordan is supporting him, I've got no idea. I know the man is humbly doesn't want the job, but we cannot continue doing what we're doing. It is right to say what's going on in DC isn't okay. It is right to have this historical moment going on right before us. It's fascinating to watch, but you know what? In 1776, we revolted with a small minority. We did. We can do this with a small group. We just need to support our legislators and give them that bold courage that comes from inside of each and every one of us. We need to do that here in Arizona as well. We have to drain the swamp. We're going to have work to do with some of those rhino legislators in 2024. And I'm going to ask you for your support to help oust them to put in true conservatives here in Arizona as well. Thank you.
No, I do not endorse it. I will disagree with the other hand. I think what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now is healthy and is good. I think round 9 is a great idea. Round 10 is round 10 now. We're going into the final round of the boxing match, right? I'll tell you who I would like. I'd like Andy Biggs. The bottom line is how this gets sorted out. I think that what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now is healthy. It's one of the first true, honest debates that we've had in a long time, and I'm all for it.
Last question. How do you plan to reach independents and PMDs to gain their support?
You know what it does? It comes full circle right back to finance. We need to raise funds so that we can do it. The bottom line is there's a couple of things that I've disagreed with about how the MCRC has handled things, and going out and posting golden tickets on what we call weak Republican doors only, I think is wrong. We need to be embracing the independents. There's a lot of Republicans that have allowed themselves, either through changing address and the DOT flipping them to P&D. We need to go after those people, and we need to do it on a personal level, which is going to take a strong, concerted effort, and not just walking door to door and pasting stuff on the garage door.
That's right.
This is a significant part of the data project that I've been talking about in Technology Council. When we dig into the data, we can find someone who was registered Republican and then changed to PNP. We can dig in, we can find those independents who poll Republican ballots in the primary. So we'll know who those Republican-leaning independents are, who are safe for us to go and talk to and hopefully change their voter registration and get them on board. So the conversation, once we have our data set, we'll basically treat them like Republicans. The conversation really is about those who we think are more left-leaning or who are center. We are going to have to reach them through a variety of means. What is it? You have to see something 7 times before you really take it in. So we're going to text them, we're going to call them, we're going to email them as much as we can. We're going to door knock them, we're going to phone call them. We're going to reach out to these people and build relationships, and we're going to talk about the things that are affecting them. I mean, I know this is not in this room, but they're concerned about the price of eggs, the price of rent. We're going to talk about how Joe Biden affected that, and we have solutions for them.
Okay, so I'm going to give you each 1 minute just to wrap up with your closing statements, because we need to move on to the state candidates. And thank you so much for being on the hot seat. So go ahead and wrap up. Ladies first.
All right, thank you. My name is Jan Dubauskas. I'm running for chairman of Maricopa County Republican Committee. Our team has an actionable plan to effect real change here in Maricopa County. I'd like to introduce Eric Morgan. He's our first vice chair. Eric Morgan is chairman of LD 27 right now. I have Charlie Schinke. He's our treasurer. Charlie has been treasurer for campaign candidates and nonprofits. Dan Grimm is here. Dan is currently the secretary of Maricopa County Republican Committee, and he is committed to real change in Maricopa County. Tatiana Pena is our second vice chair. She works with the Hispanic community and is bilingual and will bring that component to our team. We're asking for your vote. We're asking for your trust. We're asking you to allow us to lead you to victory in 2024. Thank you.
Again, my name's Craig Berland, running for chair of the MCRC. Shelby Bush, first vice. Jeff Greenspan is unable, he's sick right now, and second vice chair. Diana Jones, secretary. And Lawrence, he works there right over here. There he is, Lawrence Hudson, treasurer. They all come with a lot of experience. We've been walking the walk and talking the talk, particularly election and integrity, for several years. The major commitment of this group. We appreciate your support. Terry Lake. Jim O'Connors, and Liz Taylor, and Mark Fincham have all endorsed our slate. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being in the hot seat. All right, at this time, we'd like our